we get started, I want to show you this adorable find. Look at this miniature creamer. I paid 50 cents for it. It was originally from Pier 1. And look at this, how precious. This little teacup with a flower inside. And it does have a little crack along the side here, but you can't see it from the outside. You can from the inside, but barely. I haven't cleaned this up yet, so it's a little bit dirty. And it has 4 little saucers. They're all the same, but look how tiny and how adorable these are. Guys, look what a great deal. 10 cents for each. So the total for all of this was $1. Awesome deal, right? I couldn't wait to show it to you.
I would like to thank Rhoda. Rhoda gave me the suggestion of sharing a Southern sweet tea recipe. We're going to be inside and outside today, and I've created a fun spot for us to sit and share a glass of sweet tea together. So let's get started. Come on in the house and let's make some sweet Southern tea. The secret to surviving a hot summer day is a tall, refreshing glass of sweet tea. Here in the South, we drink a lot of sweet tea. And remember, Mother always had a gallon of sweet tea in the refrigerator. I grew up on sweet tea. I think it's more of a Southern thing because if you get above the Mason-Dixon line, you go to a restaurant and you ask for a glass of tea, they look at you really strange. Especially for me when I'm traveling with work. If I ask for a glass of sweet tea, we'll just bring you a glass of iced tea with artificial sweetener. So here in the South, we do love our sweet tea, and I would like to share with you how to make the perfect sweet Southern tea.
Okay, so to get started with our Southern sweet tea, there's only a few ingredients that you will need. You need to have good tea bags. Now, my family prefers Lipton, and I always get the family size tea bag. So today, we're going to be using the Lipton tea bag. Make sure that you use good tea bags. Don't skimp and go for the cheap, no-name brand tea bags. Spend $1 more and get really good tea bags because that is the start of a good picture of sweet Southern tea. Next thing that you're going to need is sugar and some baking soda. And on the sugar, I grew up hearing that Domino sugar is the best for sweet tea. I don't really know how much truth there is behind that, but being a good Southern girl, I still abide by the same recipe I grew up with. So I tend to always try to get the Domino sugar and the Arm & Hammer pure baking soda and the Lipton or Louisiana tea bag. Measured out a cup of sugar, of a teaspoon of baking soda. And the only other thing that you're going to need is either a pitcher or a jug to put your iced tea in, something to stir it with. So I wanted a pitcher so I could get some ice. Here is what we start with, guys. Good water. Make sure you have good water. Now, if you are not fortunate enough to live out in the country and have that good tasting deep well water, and you've got city water that tastes like chemical, in our case, we have Culligan water, and we have a dispenser here at home that dispenses hot and cold Culligan water. And believe me, guys, this makes a huge difference. The only other thing you're going to need are some lemons, some fresh lemons. We'll go ahead and get started. The recipe that I use makes 1 gallon of tea. And because I have the family size tea bags, I use 2 tea bags. The first thing you're going to do is get you a pot of, like I mentioned, good water. So I turn my gas heat on high and I will get the water boiling. Now, it doesn't really matter exactly how much water you have in the pot, just about a quart or two of water. And you're going to let this come to a boil, and as soon as it comes to a boil, we are going to turn the heat on and add our tea bags. So let's let this come to a good boil, and as soon as it does, we're going to stop the heat. Okay, so today we're going to make our tea in this old pickle jug because it's just so pretty. You can see the tea and you can see the lemons, and it just makes for a very pretty presentation. I've measured out our 1 cup of sugar and our 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. So I'm going to go ahead and add the sugar and the baking soda or jug, and it's important to go ahead and have this in your jug so that when you add your freshly steeped tea, it will help dissolve the sugar and the baking soda. Now, a lot of you ask, what is the purpose of the baking soda? The baking soda takes out the bitterness of the strong black tea. As you can see, our pot is just coming to a boil, so we're going to turn the heat off, and we're going to remove this from the heat, and we are going to make sure they get soaked it down good into the hot water. To let this steep for about 10 or 15 minutes. I definitely sometimes let it steep longer, and the longer you let it steep, the stronger your tea will be. So here we have our tea that has been steeping for about 10-15 minutes. And what I do, just lastly, I take my tea bags and I bounce them up and down a little bit in the pot just to get out some of that good flavor. Now, I know a lot of you will take these tea bags and squeeze them against your pot with a spoon. I have learned not to do that, and I've learned the hard way because I have broken and busted many tea bags. And now we are ready to pour our steeped tea into our jar with our sugar and our baking soda. What I do at this point is I stir to be sure that all of the sugar and the baking soda is good and dissolved. And instead of filling my jug up completely with water, I add ice to my jug of what's going to be our jug of sweet tea. So I'm adding ice. That will help cool down the tea. So it's already the early month of June, and here in South Alabama the grass is already dying. So if you don't have your entire property irrigated or have sprinklers set on them, the grass will die quickly, the plants and the flowers as well. So I wanted to do something a little different today, so I snuck in my husband's storage shed and I took our camping canopy and I set it up, and I pulled out a couple things that I knew would be fun, and this will give you a good idea of how I like to repurpose things and use them for more than one purpose. This Sit a Spell sign here serves a dual purpose. On the back side, it is white and the letters are black, and it says welcome. My younger brother Adam surprised me the other day when I came home from work. These two bird feeders were sitting in my swing, and I'm so proud of them that he shared them with me. Here is a thrifted enamel big wash pan, and I don't want you to overlook these when you're shopping and thrifting, because look how beautiful this is with a couple of ferns inside. Look here guys, sweet tea served here. I made this morning so that I could have it hanging as you enter the canopy. There's Daisy. Daisy, tell them hello. And as you come in, this little blue stool here was thrifted, and I love the look of this sweet tea canopy because I've taken some of my favorite quilts and I've simply fastened them around the canopy. I pulled out an Adirondack chair. I pulled out an old bucket. You know, you see me repurposing these all the time. And I took a board and laid it across the bucket so that I could sit a couple of books and magazines, so that I could sit out here and enjoy my sweet tea. I had always told my husband that I wanted a wooden pallet table. So I had this amazingly old school desk that came out of a county school in our area that's very old. And one day he took one of the oldest wooden pallets that he could find, and he made me this wonderful wooden pallet topped table that I absolutely love. I have our Southern sweet tea with lemons. I've got us a pitcher of ice, and I also have some cookies here. Although I chilled these in the cooler before I brought them out, I'm sure they're gonna melt quite quickly. This is waffle cone cookies, and then shortbread covered and dipped in dark chocolate. So we're ready for a little afternoon sweet tea along with a couple of cookies, and we'll enjoy sitting out here in the shade with Daisy, reading a book, looking and flipping through the magazine, and just having a peaceful time listening to the birds. My son, my youngest son, he felt sorry for me, I guess, and put every extension cord that he could find together to pull this long distance back here to the back side of the property so that he could plug in 2 fans for me. So I appreciate that. So here we are, guys, ready to have some sweet Southern tea.